Hey, welcome back to the Cardboard Cave. We're here taking a look at some Micro Machines Star Trek Limited Collector Set. You know, they did quite a few Micro Machine Star Trek back in the day. This is a collector set that basically just combines a lot of them. Include display stands, limited edition. USS Enterprise, only available in this set. The 1701A is only available in this set. Unfortunately, the price sticker was torn off. I'm sure this was from the early 90s, if not late 80s. 16 authentic vessels. My package is a little beat up and rough, but that's, I ordered these off eBay. Got a pretty good price on them. Actually got this set cheaper than I would have got them individually by far. I actually plan to use these in a board game. Actually, I got the game set up over here. It's called Starship Captains. Well, it's not exactly set up, but I'm going to test these out with it. And I think they'll work with maybe some actual official Star Trek board games as well. Plus, I do love Micro Machines. Limited edition collector set. Galoob. I guess that would be the item number 65831. Let's see. 16 authentic vessels. 3 vehicles from the original Star Trek. Romulan Bird of Prey, Klingon Battlecruiser, Enterprise 1701. I'll let you read these yourself. 4 vehicles from Star Trek the movies. So there's 4 from the movies, including the exclusive one. 6 from Star Trek Next Generation. And 3 from Deep Space Nine. So you got quite a variety there. And let's see. $1993. Yep. It's pretty accurate there. And here's the back. Oh. Filming one-handed is working really great. Here's the back, like I said. Some information here. You can pause that if you'd like to read it. Exclusive item. Here's a breakdown of all the ships included. All right, now we're gonna unbox these, and we'll come back and show what they're like. The tape is already off on these, so there's really nothing to show you. This whole tray just slides out of here. So when we come back, we're just gonna show you all the ships. All right, and here we are with all the Star Trek collector set Micro Machines taken out of the box. Most of them are twist tied in. Then the tray just slides out. Remove the twist ties. Pretty easy to take them out. Just got to do it one at a time. There was a little bag, which was very yellowed and gross looking. I feel like I've had some like bug droppings or something in here. Again, I got this off eBay. It's quite old. But anyway, there was a bag in there that was sealed and that had all the stands. And there are enough stands for every single ship. Technically no extra, but I'll get to that in a second. There kind of actually is one extra. So, how many did I say? Was it 19? 16. 16 authentic vessels. I could have just counted them. Anyways, I'm going to show you kind of in order. Starting with the original series. There are 3 from the original series. And I'm going to go get the first thing out of the way first. My biggest disappointment with all of these, and something I probably should have realized, but I don't know, I didn't really realize it just from looking at images online. None of these are metal or even like hard plastic. Well, with a couple exceptions. They're mostly rubberized, which is fine, but I never thought of Micro Machines that way. I mean, I'm probably remembering wrong. There was probably more plastic Micro Machines than metal. But I don't know. A lot of them were metal. That's how I remember them. And for some dumb reason, I had in my head that most of these were going to be metal, or at least I thought they're going to be either painted metal or painted like hard plastic, which is fine. But as we'll see in a second, the rubber, you know, when it's exposed to extreme heats, can get a little misshapen. So just know that. I'll point it out when one is like a hard plastic, but almost all of them are a rubbery material. And here, of course, is one of the most famous vessels in all of Star Trek. These three, again, are from the original series, the NCC 1701. Much like the one we have hanging up over here. Oh, sorry, room's is quite a mess. Yeah, I've always loved this ship. It will always be a classic. My phone will always struggle to focus. There we go. And it is no exception right now. Again, though, I'm a little bit thrown off by the fact this is Micro Machines and it's totally rubbery. I don't know, just not what I expected. It's still cool that Micro Machines did this. Still a good deal what I paid for this pack of 16. But I was really expecting little metal Micro Machines. I don't know. Anyways, the stands, once they're on there pretty good, but it takes some pushing. And as you can see, my stands are kind of yellow just from time. These were new. I did individually remove each one, but just from time, they've turned a little yellow. But I was pushing on them pretty hard, and none of them broke. Because for some of these ships, you really got to push them in there. And I'll show you. Well, it's pretty obvious. I was going to say I'll show you how. You just push them in there. They have a little nub. And it's not much of a nub. So to get it to where it'll stay, you really got to push them on there firm. Yeah, so anyways, that's obviously cool. Some of these look good without the base. Like this one, though, needs the base. Otherwise, it's just going to be sitting lopsided on the surface. Then we got the Klingon battle cruiser. Klingon. You ever get so conscious of how you're saying something and you question it for a second? That just happened. Really cool looking. Pretty good detail for a Micro Machine. That's wanting to come off the stand there. But on a flat surface, most of them stand pretty well once you get them on there. Like the battle cruiser a lot. This is the Romulan Bird of Prey from the original series. Another cool looking ship. That really looks awesome from the bottom. Oh, and there goes the stand. That's fine. I want to show you that anyways. Love that a lot. It's awesome. So yeah, like some of them like this one are okay without the stand. Probably look better with it. Alright, so that's all from the original series. So what we're going to do is we're going to move these down here. They do not like to stand on my carpeted table. This is a carpeted table, and things do not stand as well in it. That's why I'm showing you 4 at a time, because I knew they weren't going to stand as well once I put them down there. The next lineup is Star Trek the Movies vessels from the motion picture series. And these are the most disappointing of all the 4 different waves I'm about to show you. And I'll tell you why they're the most disappointing. I mean, for me personally, they're not as nostalgic, you know, being from the motion picture series. But, well, there's another one that fell off. So, yeah, some of them don't stay on the stand great. But if you really push them on, they do better. And maybe you're starting to see a little bit of what this is the most disappointing of the 4. And here's a real kicker right here. All right, so starting over here, the NCC 2000, the Excelsior actually looks just fine. No serious warping issues. Pretty good. Pretty cool looking ship. No complaints there. No issues there. Then we run some issues. This is the exclusive ship that they advertise that gets its own special window box. And And I'm sure it looked fine new, but mine is pretty rough looking. The nacelles are all bent up. Sometimes there are ways, there you can really see it. Very crooked there. Sometimes you can get these things to straighten up if you have something like this that's like a hard rubber. I think it's put them in hot water, not hot enough to melt the paint off, but pretty hot water. Let them stay in there long enough to get flexible. Bend them into shape and then immediately hold them in cold water. At least that's how I remember it. And I'm going to try it with a couple of these. So there, that one's falling off the stand. This one actually locked quite a bit, and there's no serious issues with it. Obviously, it's falling off the stand, and I have had a hard time getting this to stay on the stand. But anyways, USS Reliant, really cool looking, actually. Some missed paint there, but pretty cool looking. Looks okay off the stand, which is good because it fell off. This is the most disappointing to me because the Klingon Bird of Prey is one of my favorite looking ships in all of Star Trek. And I could tell this one looked pretty cool at one time, but it's just so goofy looking now. This Klingon Bird of Prey has a broken wing. I think this one's closer to how it's supposed to look. This one's crazy. And I've tried, here you can see how rubbery they are. I have tried really overbending it like that, holding it. And it looks a little better for a few seconds, but it goes back pretty quickly. But if I can get it straight with that hot and cold water method, I just love the way the Bird of Prey looks, the Klingon Bird of Prey. Yeah, this is where the rubberiness really let it down, though, because it got, I assume, too hot at some point during storage and just got all goofy looking. Also, I could not get that one to stay on the stand, so it's also not on its stand. So some real misfires, perhaps just due to the way these were stored. But it gets a lot better from there. Yeah, none of those even want to stay on the stand either. Literally all those are off the stand now. But next we have my favorite of the bunch, the Star Trek Next Generation lineup. And there are 6. Yes, there are 6 of these. So out of the 16, 6 of them are Next Generation. And I am definitely fine with that. So if I can get that a little straighter. But I've done it now. Let's see if I can do 2 things at once here. How do you like that? Let's try if I put this back on the stand. I really want 1701D to be... There we go. Okay. To be on the stand. These stands can go like forwards or backwards, but you don't really have a choice. It depends on the shape of the ship, or else they're just going to fall straight over. I'm going to get them all up here. All right, here we go. So starting out with the Klingon Warshaw attack cruiser. Pretty cool looking. It's got some pretty good details on there. And this is one that's a sturdy one, still rubber, but it's sturdy. Like it a lot. Pretty cool. Then, of course, the 1701D. Which is maybe got a little bending because of the rubber, but it's not terrible. Then one of my absolute favorites, the Romulan Warbird. One of my favorite looking ships in Star Trek, and one of my favorite of these macro machines. It really looks cool. I like that one a lot. And then we have the Borg Cube, which I love that there's a Micro Machine Borg Cube. Doesn't particularly look like a Micro Machine. I mean, it's pretty small for a Borg Cube, but it makes sense that it's massive for a Micro Machine. I mean, by Micro Machine standards, this thing's pretty huge, and that makes sense. It looks like it's got battle damage on it, which, you know, that makes sense. But the hilarious thing about this one is it has a hole like they expect you to put on a stand. Well, I don't know if you know what shape a cube is, but, well, it's the same on every side. So, well, you just have to take my word for it. It doesn't work. It immediately falls over, no matter which way you turn the stand, because it's equally heavy on each side. There's also something rattling in mine. But yeah, the board cube is pretty cool. And if it were on a stand like it's supposed to be, it would be more imposing. But then we have the Ferengi Marauder. No issues with it. Pretty cool. And then, y'all might think I'm weird, but probably my favorite in this whole set. The Shuttlecraft. 1701D Shuttlecraft. I'm a sucker for Shuttlecraft. If you watched my Star Trek toy unboxings of those, I have this Shuttlecraft and the one from the original series. From Playmates, you know, the larger action figure size Shuttlecraft. Love those things. And I love this Micro Machines one as well. And it is one of the ones that's... It's still rubber for sure. But it's just one thick piece of rubber. So it feels more like a Micro Machine. I don't know how to put it. And maybe that just comes down to the size, because these are representing much, much larger vessels. Obviously, none of these are to scale. The Shuttlecraft should be barely able to see it compared to this. But anyways, I love it. That doesn't come down, but it almost looks like it. To be fair, I haven't tried. No, it almost looks like it wants to come down, but I think that's just the way it looks. So there's the next generation ones. Really, none of those are a disappointment. The board cube cannot go in the provided stand, but if you had a special stand, it could work, but it's not going to go. There's no way it's going to go on the provided stands. So that just leaves the last three are all from Deep Space Nine. So let's get to those. Let's see. First we have the Cardassian Galler warship. Really nice looking color there. It's another one that just feels really solid. It feels more like a Micro Machine. Again, despite the fact that I don't personally recall as a kid having any Micro Machines that were like rubber. I don't personally recall having any. And these are all rubber, except for the board cube, actually. I think that's the only one that's not. Despite that, this is one that does still look like a Micro Machine to me. As does this one, the Runabout from Deep Space Nine. Again, I'm a sucker for Shuttlecraft, and this still looks like a Micro Machine to me more than some of the other ones. Really cool looking. And then, arguably, again, one of the coolest in the whole set. Though huge by Micro Machine standards, it should be. And that is the Space Station Deep Space Nine itself. Which, miraculously, does totally stay on the stand. Really cool looking. And if any of them need to be on the stand, it's this one. It just looks great that way. Yeah. For me, if you can find a good deal on this set or find them individually, whatever works out. Again, there's different sets, but this particular one is the Star Trek Limited Edition Collector Set. There's an item number somewhere. 65831. It's from 1993. For me, it's worth it for some of my favorite ones, like this, and this, and the board cube and the Shuttlecraft here, and really both of my main Enterprises, the 1701 and 1701D, both look just fine. And there's several others that look quite good as well. I mean, there's plenty that look good. A few disappointments that are all wonky. This is my biggest disappointment because I just love the ship so much. But I'll see what some hot water can do to it. Overall, though, pretty cool. A little surprised at the rubber. But pretty happy with these overall. And it's cool that Micro Machines did this at all. So leave a comment if you've had any of these, if you've had any Star Trek micro machines at all, or have you experienced any micro machines that were rubber besides these? Is this a thing that was normal for them? The micro machines I grew up with were a little different than this, but they're still small-scaled Star Trek toys, so it's still cool. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for checking out the Cardboard Cave.